the SALT caucus has been hard at work for years on this. The reason why we were able to pass the original Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in 2017 is because we overcame those votes, those Republicans from SALT states, New York being the biggest and the loudest group of Republican legislators here. SALT does not model out as a Senate problem at all. There are no Republican senators from states where the state and local tax is a big issue for ratepayers. New York holds the balance for Republicans, and they're the majority makers in the House of Representatives. They gave us the majority 3 years ago and last year. And so they need to be taken care of. They need to be taken care of in a way that's sufficient for their constituents. They can't go home and say, I raised your taxes. That's not a good message for Republicans anywhere, but most especially in a state like New York. So you have really competent, smart legislators here. The question of whether or not 30,000 is going to be sufficient for them, we're going to see, and we're going to see in a very public way. These are the most public Republicans you see in the House of Representatives. They are loud. Mike Lawler. They know how to get media attention. They know how to draw attention to the issues they care about and draw people in. So we're going to be drawn in, and we're going to be live with them every step of the way.
Based on your experience, what sounds like a level that would get these members over into the yes column? So
this is the difficulty of negotiating on this. More is the number, right? So you say a number and they say more, and eventually we'll find that number. I don't think it's going to be a round number. At the end of the day, it will be something different than what we tend to do in the Congress, which is like a nice round number. So we're gonna see this. I don't think this is a fully baked product coming out of the committee.
Well, and I guess the markup will be revealing. We've heard tell that it's going to go into way late in the night tomorrow, and something we'll have to continue to follow throughout the week. I also want to talk about what's going to get marked up in the Energy and Commerce Committee, though, because, of course, Medicaid was the other massive question. They have, according to the Congressional Budget Office, come up with a package here that is actually going to save more than they were charged with saving, more than the $880 billion. But the cost of doing so is potentially 13.7 million people losing their benefits over the next decade. Senator Josh Hawley, a Republican, says this argument is both morally wrong and politically suicidal. Do you see this as political suicide if it passes?
No, because savings to healthcare programs does not necessarily mean those that benefit from the healthcare program get less of it. It may mean that somebody in the middle has their wonderful profit box that gets gored. And so we see this with payment issues through CMS. This is a very standard challenge with healthcare policy, is that they always go back to a number of people that are directly benefited, and it never is the case. So let's step back. What is the package that House Republicans are proposing here? First, Brett Guthrie is the chair of the Energy and Commerce Committee. He is an expert in healthcare policy. He's worked with their members to dial in the specifics of the policy that they think will have the greatest savings to the taxpayer and the least amount of harm to those that benefit from these healthcare programs, number one. Number two, they're going to reform these programs so you have better delivery and better quality of those that are getting healthcare benefits through Medicaid. So I think some of these things are quite sensible, and I think the shock and awe number of people getting thrown off of the plan, I think it will not end up that way. I think it'll be a much set of sharper outcomes that will be beneficial to the taxpayer and to the public.
Are the work requirements that are being discussed right now even practical? Will people be able to follow through and follow all the steps necessary to continue qualifying if they are put in a position of having to make sure that they verify employment to receive Medicaid benefits?
Traditionally, yes. Those people that are receiving these benefits tend to be experts in how to receive these benefits. So let's step back. On work requirements, Republicans have been for work requirements for our social safety net for generations. This is not a new set of policies. And in fact, this work requirement we put in place for food stamps during the debt ceiling negotiations 2 years ago at this time. That got a 2/3 majority in the House, the Senate, and signed by Joe Biden. Some of these work requirements are not right-wing policy or some ideal set of right-wing policy. Some of them are just very practical things that can be achieved in a bipartisan vote.
Just because you mentioned the debt ceiling, we also should point out on Friday the Treasury Secretary sent a letter to the Speaker that says you need to get that thing raised before the August recess, because at that point is when the Treasury might no longer be able to meet its obligations. Does that time frame make you nervous if the debt ceiling raising mechanism is to be the reconciliation package?
It makes me nervous, but as a congressional leader, it is the welcome sign that there's an end date for the pain and suffering of going through the reconciliation process. We saw this with the Biden administration trying to do 2 reconciliation bills, and it drug on for months and months and months. We have an end date now. And if you want to leave town as a congressional Republican, you better get your stuff together in the month of July, or you're going to be sitting here roasting in the month of August. I think that it condenses the timeline. That is a good thing for the safety and health and happiness of the American people.
Chairman, does the need for speed, though, mean perhaps that the president may have to let go of 1 or 2 of the big priorities he outlined during the campaign? And we were just talking about this in the open, exempting Social Security income and tipped income. Does something have to give as the push and shove gets more intense?
I think what you see from this administration, I think what you see from this president, he's going to get his way with congressional Republicans. He didn't make 50 campaign pledges on tax policy. He made 2 or 3. He's going to get those 2 or 3.